Year 1866. Location unknown. Population terrified. The streets of Mayfair are empty, shutters nailed shut, doors barred with iron and prayer. Every soul in town knows the rule carved into the oldest oak tree at the crossroads. After midnight, do not walk, do not speak, do not look, because the thing that haunts Mayfair isn't a man, it isn't a ghost, it isn't even a creature with a name. It is a sin made flesh, a knot of hatred, betrayal, and old festering wrongs. A punishment born from the first settlers who tried to bury their crimes beneath the soil. But the soil remembered, and it grew something hungry. They call it the Wanderer. No one has ever seen its true shape. Some say it slithers, others swear it walks upright, dragging chains that were never forged by human hands. But everyone agrees on one thing. It whispers, a low, hateful murmur that crawls under doors and through keyholes, searching for the one fool awake past midnight, the one who doesn't believe, the one who thinks the stories are just stories. Tonight, that fool is out there, a lone figure, coat pulled tight, boots crunching on frost-bitten dirt. Maybe he's drunk, maybe he's desperate, maybe he's just tired of living in fear. But the moment the candle died, the wanderer stirred. From the tree line, something shifts. From the well, something breathes. From the churchyard, something rises. Mayfair holds its breath, and the wanderer begins to hunt. Her death became the moment everyone realized the wanderer wasn't just a story whispered to children. It was real, it was hungry, and it knew their names. Last autumn, when leaves turned the color of dried blood, the Jones family lost their eldest daughter, Mary Beth Jones, to the thing. She was 17, bright, kind, the sort of girl who left bread on neighbors' steps and sang hymns while sweeping the porch. But grief is the wanderer's favorite bait. Mary Beth's mother had died the previous winter from fever. Everyone knew the girl still cried herself to sleep some nights, and the wanderer knew it too. That night, just past midnight, Mary Beth heard her mother's voice drifting from the woods behind the house, soft, broken, calling her name the way only a mother can. Mary Beth, baby, help me. Neighbors later said they heard the girl whisper, Mama. Then the back door creaked open. She walked barefoot into the trees. By dawn, the search party found what was left of her. Not a body pieces, scattered like something had torn her apart in a rage, then lost interest halfway through. Her father collapsed in the mud, screaming until his voice broke. He hasn't spoken a full sentence since. That afternoon, Constable Abner Pike rang the iron bell in the square. Every able-bodied soul gathered, faces pale, eyes hollow, children clinging to skirts. Constable Pike stood on the steps of the old courthouse, hat in hand, voice shaking. This thing ain't a superstition anymore. It ain't a tale. It took Mary Beth Jones, same as it took others before her. And if we don't act, it'll take more, the crowd murmured. Some cried, some prayed, some stared at the tree line as if expecting the wanderer to step out. Pike raised a trembling hand. We must decide tonight. Do we flee Mayfair? Or do we fight what's been hunting us for generations? The wind shifted, the shadows lengthened, and for a moment, just a moment, everyone swore they heard a whisper slither between them, a whisper that didn't belong to any living throat. Before the five fugitives ever set foot in the valley, before they dug their pit, before they tried to bury their crimes. The land already remembered another horror. The valley was once home to a small indigenous community, a peaceful band who lived along the river, fished its waters, and tended the land with a reverence the newcomers never understood. They called the valley the place where the spirits walk softly. It was sacred ground, a place of balance, a place where the living and the ancestors shared the same breath. But in the winter of 1809, long before Mayfair existed, a group of armed settlers driven by greed and fear descended on the village. They claimed the people were in the way, they claimed the land was unused, they claimed the valley belonged to no one. History has seen this pattern too many times. It happened just before dawn. The settlers attacked while the village slept, fires lit the sky, children cried, elders prayed, and by sunrise the valley was silent. The survivors, few and wounded, fled into the forest, carrying only their grief and the ashes of their home. But the land did not forget. The valley absorbed the blood, the screams, the betrayal, the desecration of sacred ground, and something ancient stirred, not a spirit of vengeance, not a demon, not a monster, something older, something that rises when balance is broken. When the five fugitives arrived 2 years later, they felt the valley's silence and mistook it for safety. They didn't know the soil was already wounded, already grieving, already watching. When they dug their pit and buried their sins, they didn't create the wanderer. They fed it. Their crimes were the spark, but the land's old wound was the tinder. The wanderer is not just their guilt made flesh. It is the valley's grief, twisted by the sins of the living, given shape by the sins of the dead. A creature born from stolen land, broken balance, unburied wrongs, and the echo of a people who were never mourned. The indigenous people believed the valley was a place where the spirits of loved ones could still be heard softly, gently guiding the living. But after the slaughter, that gift was corrupted. The wanderer twists those echoes. It steals the voices of the dead. It uses them as bait. It turns love into a weapon, because the land remembers the night when love was silenced. In 1866, beneath a thin, restless moon, John Gray Wolfe returned. A dream walker, his silent boots carried him from the northern tree line. His coat, dusted with red earth, spoke of ancient memories. He paused, overlooking Mayfair, the air heavy with old grief. Closing his eyes, he felt the land's deep, unsettling wrongness. Spirits whispered to him, not in words, but in memory. He felt the land crying, heard ancestral echoes. Beneath it all, the wanderer's voice, a chilling whisper, "You again." John returned not for vengeance, but because the land called him. The balance was broken, spirits restless, the wanderer strong. He knelt, pressing his palm to the earth, whispering, "I hear you." The wind stilled, trees leaned in, the valley held its breath. Then a voice like cracking bone replied, "You should have stayed gone." As he walked, frost melted beneath his feet, shadows recoiled. The river rippled against the current, the air shifting around him. John, the last witness, remembered the land before its curse. He carried songs of healing, scars of the curse, a deep connection. The wanderer feared him, for he alone could name its true nature. John Gray Wolfe was here to finish the mourning, to restore balance. The crowd stands frozen in the square, the last echo of Constable Pike's words hanging in the cold air like a noose. Do we flee Mayfair, or do we fight? No one wants to speak first. No one wants to be the one the wanderer hears. A baby whimpers, a woman shushes him, terrified the sound alone might draw something from the tree line. Finally, old Martha Kincaid steps forward. A widow and midwife, she's delivered more children than funerals in this town. Her voice cracks, but she forces the words out. We can't run. The wanderer follows the marked. It will hunt us wherever we go. A murmur ripples through the crowd. Someone else shouts, then we fight it. But the words fall flat. Everyone knows what happened the last time someone tried. Everyone remembers the Hawthorne brothers. Three strong men went into the woods with rifles and came back as nothing but blood on the leaves. Constable Pike raises both hands. Listen to me. This thing ain't flesh, ain't bone, ain't something a bullet can kill. A man near the front spits into the dirt. Then what do we do, Pike? Pray? Hide? Wait for it to take another one of our children? Pike's jaw tightens. He doesn't have an answer, but the land does. A sudden gust of wind sweeps through the square, cold enough to sting. The candles in the windows flicker violently. The horses tied at the hitching posts rear and scream, and from the edge of the woods, a whisper, soft, slithering. hungry, every head turns, every heart stops. And then a figure steps out of the tree line, not the wanderer. A man, tall, wrapped in a wolf pelt mantle, eyes glowing with the reflection of a moon that hasn't risen yet. John Gray Wolf. The crowd recoils, unsure whether he is friend, foe, or something older. Constable Pike grips his pistol, though he knows it won't matter. John stops at the edge of the square, plants his staff in the dirt, and speaks in a voice that carries like thunder wrapped in smoke. You cannot fight what you do not understand. Silence. Even the wind holds its breath. John's gaze sweeps across the terrified faces. The wanderer is not hunting your town, it is hunting your sins. A woman sobs, a man curses, someone whispers a prayer. John continues, if you flee, it will follow. If you fight, it will feed. But if you listen, he taps the earth with his staff, the ground trembles. You may yet survive the night. Constable Pike steps forward, voice shaking. Who are you? John Gray Wolf lifts his chin. I am the last witness to the first wrong done on this land, and the wanderer knows my name. A shadow moves in the tree line behind him. The wanderer is listening. The vote is no longer flee or fight, it is believe or die. He is something far more powerful, a man called by the land itself, a dream walker, a restorer of balance, a healer of wounds he did not create but must close. The townsfolk stare at the stranger in the wolf pelt mantle, their fear thick enough to taste. Constable Pike's hand hovers near his pistol. Mothers pull children behind them. Men grip axes and lanterns like their shields. John Gray Wolf steps forward, staff tapping once against the frozen earth. The ground answers with a low, ancient tremor. His voice is calm, measured, unshakable. I am not here because of your sins. The crowd stiffens. I did not see what your fathers did. I did not watch the blood spill. I did not witness the pit you dug. He lifts his chin, eyes reflecting the moonlight like twin embers. But the land did. A hush falls over the square. John continues, voice deepening with the weight of something older than Mayfair. I was called here, not by you, not by your constable, not by fear. He presses his palm to the earth. The ground shudders beneath every boot. The land called me. A woman gasps. A man crosses himself. Someone whispers, Spirit Walker. John rises. The balance here is broken. The wound is open. The wanderer is not your punishment, it is your consequence. The tree line groans, a shadow shifts. John's voice becomes a low, resonant thunder. I am here to restore what was lost, to quiet what was awakened, to heal what was wounded. He steps closer to the crowd, but I cannot do that if you cling to lies. Constable Pike swallows hard, then. What do we do? John turns toward the woods, toward the thing listening from the darkness. You tell the truth, you face what your fathers buried, and you stop feeding the thing that hunts you. A whisper slithers across the square, cold, hateful, hungry. The wanderer is near. John Gray Wolf lifts his staff, spirit fire flickering along its carved symbols. Stand behind me. The land has called me to restore balance. And balance begins tonight. The square is silent after John Gray Wolf's warning. Silent in that way a forest goes quiet before a predator steps out. John turns away from the crowd and begins walking toward the tree line. He doesn't look back. He doesn't need to. The land is guiding him. The spirits are whispering. The wanderer is watching. Constable Pike hesitates, then calls out, Where are you taking us? John doesn't stop walking to the place where your fathers buried their sins. A ripple of dread moves through the crowd. Some refuse to follow. Some cling to their children. Some whisper that this man is cursed. But others, the ones who have lost daughters, sons, brothers, step forward. Elias Crow, pale and shaking, stumbles in too. The group, eyes wide with terror. John glances at him once. Stay close. It has marked you. Elias nods, trembling. The townsfolk follow John Gray Wolfe into the woods. The deeper they go, the stranger the forest becomes. The trees lean inward, the air thickens, the ground softens like wet breath beneath their boots. Lanterns flicker, shadows stretch too long. The wind carries whispers that don't belong to any living throat. A woman gasps this place. It feels wrong. John answers without turning. It is not wrong. It is wounded. They reach a clearing that no one in town remembers, a circle of dead earth surrounded by trees that refuse to grow straight. John stops at the center. The ground here is sunken, as if something beneath it has been struggling to rise for decades. Constable. Pike steps forward, voice barely a whisper. What? What happened here? John kneels and presses his palm to the soil. The earth trembles. A low, mournful hum rises from the ground, not sound, but memory. John speaks softly, reverently. This is where the 5 men dug their pit, where they buried their crimes, where they fed the wound left by the slaughter of my people. The townsfolk stare, horrified. A man whispers, "My grandfather said this place was cursed." John shakes his head. Not cursed, in pain. He stands, and pain, when ignored, becomes hunger. The ground cracks. A thin line splits the soil like a mouth opening. Elias crows staggering back. God help us. John raises his staff. Spirit fire flickers along its carved symbols. Your fathers buried their sins here, but the land never accepted them. The crack widens. A cold, hateful whisper rises from below. The wanderer is close, very close. John turns to the townsfolk. His voice is steady, unshakable. Tonight you will face what they buried, or you will die running from it. The earth shudders violently. Something moves beneath the soil, something waking, something remembering. John Gray Wolfe lifts his staff high. Stand firm. The truth is rising. It calls to all who live on stolen ground. It's calling me. These belong to the children who lived here before you. They were taken in the winter of 1809. Their village burned, their families slaughtered, their spirits silenced. This is the only sin the land remembers, the only sin it cannot forgive. You buried them. No, your ancestors buried the truth, and the truth became hunger. Stand firm. The land is showing you what you tried to forget. John Gray Wolfe steps into his role as the restorer of balance, and the wanderer as the last echo of a massacre. The pit yawns open like a wound that never healed. Cold air pours out in waves, carrying the faintest sound, not wind, not whispers, but children crying. The townsfolk break, some scream, some fall to their knees, some cover their ears, sobbing. The sound is too real, too raw, too full of the terror of that winter night in 1809. The shadow of the wanderer stretches across them, long and thin and trembling like a dying flame. As it moves, the crying grows louder, a chorus of voices that were never allowed to grow up. Mothers clutch their children. Men shake uncontrollably. Constable Pike whispers, "God forgive us." But forgiveness is not what the land wants. John Gray Wolfe steps forward, staff glowing with spirit fire, eyes burning with sorrow deeper than fear. He begins to sing, not loudly, not forcefully, softly, gently, a lullaby older than Mayfair. Older than the settlers, older than the wound beneath their feet. A song meant for children, a song meant for peace. Rest now, little ones. Your night is ending. Your path is clear. The crying softens. The air warms. The moccasins around the clearing glow faintly, as if tiny spirits are gathering close to listen. John continues, "Sleep now. Your footsteps are remembered. Your names are carried. Your peace is coming." The wanderer freezes. Its body ripples, shadows twisting, faces flickering across its surface, as if the children inside it are trying to rise. Then a hand of darkness shoots out and grabs Elias Crow by the chest. Elias screams, feet dragging across the dirt as the wanderer lifts him effortlessly into the air. The voice that comes out of the creature is not one voice. It is many children, women, men, all layered together, all crying, all furious. This is the last one. The words shake the trees. Lanterns explode. The ground cracks beneath Elias's kicking feet. John Gray Wolf steps forward, voice still calm, still singing beneath his breath. Put him down. The wanderer's head twists toward him, a dozen faces flickering across its surface. Faces of the lost, faces of the forgotten, faces of the slaughtered. It speaks again, louder. The last one must pay. Elias sobs, blood trickling from his nose, eyes rolling back. John raises his staff, spirit fire erupts around him. His voice becomes thunder wrapped in sorrow. He is not the one who wronged you. The wanderer shrieks a sound like 100 children crying at once. The trees bend, the earth heaves, the sky itself seems to flinch. John steps closer. Let him go. Your peace is not in vengeance. The wanderer's grip tightens. Elias screams. The townsfolk scatter. The moccasins glow brighter. The pit pulses like a heartbeat, and John Gray Wolf, dream walker, restorer of balance, sings louder a song meant to guide lost children home. The wanderer trembles. The land holds its breath. The wanderer holds Elias Crow, suspended above the pit, shadow fingers like a noose of night. Elias kicks weakly, blood dripping, voices inside the creature scream through him. The townsfolk can't move. Some cry, some pray, some stare in hollow terror. Moccasins scattered around the clearing glow brighter, like tiny spirits gathering to watch. John Gray Wolf steps forward, singing a lullaby, his voice steady as the ground shakes. Rest now, little ones. Your night is ending. The wanderer shrieks, a sound like 100 children crying at once. Trees bend, the sky trembles, and the pit pulses like a beating heart. John raises his staff, spirit fire swirling around him. His voice deepens, older than the valley, older than the wound, older than the sin. You are not vengeance, you are grief. The wanderer freezes. Its grip on Elias loosens, just slightly. John steps closer. You were born from pain that was never mourned, from children never buried, from voices never heard. The moccasins glow brighter, lifting into the air, forming a circle around the wanderer. Hear me, little ones, you are remembered. The wanderer trembles violently, its shape flickering, faces of children appearing and disappearing. Elias gasps as the grip weakens. John sings again, a morning song meant to guide lost spirits home. The moccasins rise higher. The air warms, the crying softens. The wanderer's body begins to unravel, gently, like smoke carried by. A soft wind. It speaks one last time, its voice no longer furious but small, broken, childlike. We were cold. John's voice cracks, the only time he falters. Not anymore. The wanderer releases Elias. The man falls into John's arms, sobbing, shaking, alive. The creature collapses inward, its shadow shrinking, dissolving into light and ash. The moccasins glow one final time, then fade. The pit closes, the earth settles, the forest exhales, and the valley, for the first time in 55 years, is quiet. The townsfolk gather around John Gray Wolf, faces streaked with tears, hearts heavy with truth. Constable Pike removes his hat. Is it over? John looks at the closed pit. His voice is soft. The children have found peace. A long silence. Then he adds, but the land remembers, and so must you. Elias Crow kneels beside the pit, placing a trembling hand on the soil. I'm sorry for all of it. John rests a hand on his shoulder. Then the healing begins with you. The townsfolk bow their heads. Some cry, some whisper apologies to the earth, some simply stand in silence, understanding the weight of the ground beneath their feet. John Gray Wolf turns toward the forest. The spirits whisper softly, not in pain, but in gratitude. He walks into the trees, staff glowing faintly, his silhouette fading into the dawn. He does not look back. Balance has been restored, but the valley will never forget, and neither will Mayfair. The forest is quiet now. The pit is closed, and somewhere beneath the roots and the frost, the last cries of the children finally fade into peace. Mayfair will heal. Slowly, the land will rest. Gently, and the shadows will remember. Always, John Gray Wolfe has already vanished into the trees, his song drifting behind him like smoke from a dying fire. He came when the land called, and he will walk on when the land calls again. Tonight, the valley sleeps, not in fear, but in mourning and in hope, because even in the darkest places, even in the oldest wounds, peace can still find its way home. This has been Sinister Dreams. If you enjoyed the story, please like and subscribe. It helps keep the darkness alive. And the nightmare's coming. Sleep lightly. The land is listening.